Everybody ready? Okay, I'll turn it over to the sheriff's office.
Good morning, Captain Josh Phillips here with Minnehaha County Sheriff's Department. Just give you an update. We did do a tweet and a Facebook release of an incident this morning in Garrettson. Deputies were dispatched around 4:55 to the area of 3rd and Eastern in Garrettson for some reported gunshots. Deputies arrived on scene along with medical personnel from that area and immediately came in contact with several individuals. 2 individuals appeared to have gunshot wounds. Those individuals were transported to area hospitals. All individuals involved in this incident appeared to be on scene when we arrived. Subsequent interviews are being done with those individuals. Further investigation will go on when we are able to interview the other individuals that are seeking medical care. The public is not in danger at this time. We believe we have everybody accounted for that was involved or there at this incident. So we'll later on, be able to provide maybe some further details, but it is an ongoing investigation. Until we get all the details from the individuals that were all there, we won't be able to release any more information. Any follow-up questions?
Yeah, what were the injuries like to the 2 individuals with gunshot wounds?
I can't report on that. Some of that stuff, medical reasons we can't release, and we don't have all that information as of yet. We'll obtain that, but the most important part is getting those individuals treatment as soon as possible.
It was just the 2 people involved then?
There was more than 2. 2 were taken to the hospital. The other individuals that were inside the residence no one left. We're able to make contact with them and speak to them also.
Did these individuals know each other beforehand?
It appears to be that way. Everybody there knew each other from somewhere or another.
Ages or genders of the injuries?
Not going to release that at this time, just due to the individuals being in the hospital. We notify their families, let them know they're there, and so and same thing with the individuals that were still on the scene.
That all happened inside that residence?
We believe so, yes.
You know how many gunshots or shell casing you guys found?
We're still going to be executing search warrants and stuff, and so to give that information, it wouldn't be accurate until we actually can finish it up.
Do you know exactly how many individuals were involved or no?
We believe we have the number, but until we fully complete the investigation, it's something I don't want to put out there until we can for surely say.
Is that around 4:45 this morning?
About 4:55, we received the initial call, and it was dispatched as a discharge of a firearm. Until deputies arrived on scene, they were able to obtain more information, which changed some responses and involved investigators. I was out there and other investigators pretty early this morning. So a job well done by the medical personnel out in the Garrettson area and the first responders and everything of really getting there and treating the scene. And so, like I said earlier, we'll probably be able to provide more information later on. So, anything else? Thank you.
Okay, in the log, not a whole lot of things, couple of things maybe. The aggravated assaults, we had a few domestics, no real serious injuries from those. We did have one call that was yesterday morning. I was before 11 near Vera, but the initial call was a guy with a gun. Turns out there was no gun. We had a group of people that were kind of walking together. One of them, well, I guess a couple of guys started arguing. One of them pulled out a knife and threatened the other with it. And then it was the suspect that had the knife. He ran into a building and said the other person he was having the argument with had the gun, but no gun was found. Our suspect, the one guy, he was arrested for aggravated assault. No injuries at all on that one.
Was that kind of near that 21st and Cliff?
Yeah, 21st and Cliff area.
So he said he had a gun, but didn't?
Yeah, he said the other person had a gun.
Okay.
Yeah, so the suspect had threatened the victim with a knife, and then the suspect ran into a building and told people that this other guy had a gun, and the suspect ended up calling 911 and said this other person had a gun, but there was no gun. They were able to talk to everybody that was there, and the only weapon was the one knife that the suspect had.
Was it just those two people involved?
There was a couple other people that were there, but primarily it was just those two guys.
I know there was two calls for a weapon violation. One guy apparently was a sword. Was that the guy with the knife?
Say that again?
There was a call for a guy with a sword?
It wasn't a sword, it was a knife. It was a larger knife, but yeah, that was the same one. So yeah, the initial call was a guy with a gun, and then there was another call about a person with a sword, but yeah, once they figured all that stuff out, there was no gun, and it wasn't a sword, it was just a large knife.
And these two individuals, they knew each other beforehand?
Yeah,
Were arguing?
No, I don't know why they were arguing, but they did know each other.
Do you have his name?
Yep. His last name is Walking Eagle, WALKINGEAGLE. First is, I'll just spell it, VILAS. Middle is Marion, MARION, and he's 26 from Sioux Falls.
Did he have any drugs found on him at all?
No, I didn't see anything of any drugs. Let me just double check. Wasn't anything mentioned in the report, but yeah, I don't see anything about drugs.
Any injuries reported? Anything like
There were no injuries. The burglary, one of them was an apartment that was entered, one was a storage unit, no arrests on either of those. The disorderlies, most of those are trespassings, had a couple involved juveniles, but nothing serious. The family offenses are some reports, nothing big from the frauds, larcenies, a few unlocked cars, some license plates, some packages, nothing concentrated in one area. The narcotics, no big quantities on those. Excuse me. The robbery, that was a late report. It was just basically some information about somebody that thought there may have been a possible robbery, but there wasn't. So there's a chance that was tied to the O'Reilly Auto Parts robbery. So the detective's looking into that, but no actual robbery took place. The sex offense was a sex offender that didn't register. Simple assaults were domestics. The stolen vehicles, we had one yesterday that kind of led to quite a few different items, but this happened around 4 p.m. We had a car that was stolen from the 6600 block of West 14th Street, and the owner of the car had started the car and then went inside to let it run a little bit. I don't know if it was just to warm up or just to let it run. But while she was inside, our suspect came along, hopped in the running car, and drove away. So she called police. Just a short time later, we had an officer that saw that car near 26th Street and I-29. So the information had been put out to the officers that car had been stolen. He tried to stop it. He activated his lights, and the stolen car took off at a high rate of speed. So the officer did not chase it, did not pursue it. This was near, so I said that 26th and I-29. The car continued to go east on 26th Street. Once it got over the other side of I-29, the car hit another car. The stolen car ran a red light and hit a car that was turning. And the stolen car continued on 26th Street, and then it turns into Louise, and so he was going south on Louise. We had another officer that was kind of in that area that saw him driving at a high rate of speed, weaving in and out of traffic. Again, we didn't have any officers that were pursuing or chasing the man. The stolen car then entered the intersection at 41st Street and Louise. He ran a red light there, and there was one car that was going west and another car that was going east, and he ended up hitting both of those cars. After the two crashes, that caused the stolen car to be disabled. He got out on foot and took off running, and so we had some officers that kind of, once they heard he was on foot, they came to the area and looking around, but eventually they were able to find him, had some help from some people in the apartments in the 3200 block of West 43rd, and that's where he was found and then arrested. We didn't have any injuries, maybe some minor injuries, but I didn't hear of anything big from any of those crashes. But he was arrested for quite a few charges. We had possession of stolen vehicle, grand theft, aggravated eluding, felony hit and run, reckless driving, no driver's license, and then a few other traffic violations as well.
Did he hide in one of the apartments?
He
Or was
was,
he just kind of near there?
yeah, it was, let me see if I can find where, he wasn't in an apartment. He was, oops, that's the wrong one. Well, that one just said they found him. He was in the apartment building, not in a specific apartment, but he was in the laundry room is where they found him. So he had knocked on a couple of doors and was looking for some help, and people wouldn't, they basically weren't going to help him, so that's where he was found hiding. Do you guys want?
Anything found on him?
No drugs.
Yeah, we'll take his name already.
Yep. His last name is Valle, Valle. First is Cesar Jesus, Caesar, and middle is Roderick, Roderick, and he's 18 from Sioux Falls.
And where was the car first running at? Was that like in somebody's residence?
Yeah, it was outside a home in the 6600 block of West 14th Street.
And so he just hopped in it?
Yep, he jumped in the running car and drove away.
This is kind of a classic example of blocking your cars as you're starting up.
Yeah, we've talked about this time and time. You know, it doesn't take long for somebody to come upon a running car and decide that they want to drive away with it. So people are going to let their car run for a number of different reasons, and that's fine, but they have to monitor it. They have to watch. It's not always fun to sit in a cold car and wait for it to warm up, but it's better than the alternative, and having a car stolen and then crashed into several other cars. You know, that's what happened here. Could be the alternative. So monitor your car. If you have the ability to use a remote start, that's probably best. Locking your car, that may help, but we've seen before where people will break a window and then still drive away with it. So that's not even a foolproof method. The best thing to do is just to monitor your car if you're going to leave it running. That's pretty much it. The unattended death, nothing suspicious there, and vandalisms, we had some graffiti and then some apartment windows were broken. That's all I have, unless you guys have anything else. Okay, thanks.